Hello guys, happy Friday. Hopefully this is going up on Friday because it's been a mess and I'm filming it on Friday, so we'll see if it makes it up today. If not, happy Saturday. And welcome back to my channel. So every Friday we do makeup and bad movies, and for the month of October we're doing bad horror, thriller, suspense movies, all that jazz. And today we're gonna be talking about The Roommate. The Roommate, interestingly enough, I remember like when this movie came out and like I saw the trailer as a kid. It came out in 2011, so I was probably in middle school at that time. I remember like refreshing the pirated websites every day so I could watch that movie. And I remember liking the movie, but now rewatching it as an adult, I'm just kind of like, huh, you know? And now that I also understand the concept of Fatal Affair-esque movies, I haven't seen Fatal Affair yet. I'm gonna get to it. It's like on my movie list, but well, it's not Fatal Affair. It's single white female, which I also have not seen. I get the two confused because they're very similar to each other in essence. So yeah, today we're talking about The Roommate. This movie overall, like I said, I remember liking it as a kid. I don't think I found it scary or suspenseful as a kid, but like rewatching it, it's definitely lacking some suspense, definitely lacking, you know, a punch. It's just kind of lacking. And they do this thing that I really dislike in movies, where we're supposed to believe that these people are college kids, or even worse, it's high school kids, and you can clearly tell these are some grown-ass adults. Like, I don't think, actually, Nina Dobrev, I hope that's how you say her name, the girl from Vampire Diaries, she's in this movie and she's the only person. Her and Bonnie's also in this movie. They're the only people who actually look like they could be college freshmen. My brows look like ass. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even know what I want to talk about because I set myself up for failure every week. Anyway, so the movie begins with our main character, Sarah Matthews, as she's moving into her dorm. By the way, this is the nicest college dorm I've ever seen. Because y'all know every single college dorm has that same brown, ugly ass furniture, that light wood brown, and them tall ass beds. But no, this is some luxurious ass dorm room. I might have lived on campus if my dorm rooms look like this. Anyway, but later that day, she's invited by another girl who lives in the same hall as her to go to a frat party. And while she's at this frat party, she starts talking to this dude who says, honestly, one of the most sexual assaulty things I've ever heard.
When a girl has had 3 cups, what? If we don't get her up into our room, we have to pull kitchen duty for like a week.
So then they're talking or whatever, and Tracy ends up flashing people on the stairs. So Sarah has to bring her home, and the dude actually helps. His name is Steven. I don't know why. I was gonna keep calling him dude for the rest of the video. His name is Steven. And Steven actually helps bring her home. Like, helps her get her friend home. So when she gets back into her room finally, she meets her roommate Rebecca, and by me I mean briefly says hi to her before running out and throwing up. The next day they decide to go out to the bookstore together, and Sarah briefly tells her roommate Rebecca about everything that happened with her ex, because basically her and her ex had agreed to go to the same college. She got accepted to Brown, he didn't, so instead they went to whatever this college is in California, I don't remember the name. And so they were both supposed to go here, but then he ended up getting accepted to Brown and ditched her. So they're no longer together. Moving on. Sarah goes through her first college class. Well, actually, she's not in the class yet. She went to the class to ask the professor to sign off, to like let her in. And he is so fucking creepy. Like, he's giving this speech about how, basically about how the class is gonna change your life and stuff like that, which is very pretentious for an intro design class. Intro. About how he's gonna change your life, and you just automatically get creepy vibes from this dude. Oh, and also she's wearing this ugly ass fedora. This is supposed to be a fashion designer. That fedora was a sin. Sarah and Tracy end up going out to this club, and Tracy meets this guy and ditches Sarah while she's in the bathroom. So then Sarah calls Rebecca to come pick her up. So while they're at the diner, because that's where Sarah was waiting for Rebecca to pick her up, Rebecca's like, you know, I'll show you around town tomorrow and I promise I won't ditch you. So they go to this museum and they look at this, there's this part where Rebecca shows Rebecca, she's like, this is my favorite painting. And it's like one of the darker paintings in the museum, and Rebecca's Sarah. I keep getting them confused. But Sarah's like, you can tell she's weirded out by the fact that this is her favorite painting. But I don't know, I feel like that wasn't a good basis to set us up on the road to crazy, because just because she happens to like a piece of art that happens to be painted with darker colors, it wasn't even dark in nature, it was just darker colors. That don't make the girl crazy. So I'm not, you missed the mark there. And then we also learn here that Sarah's sister died when she was 9, and she has her name, Emily, tattooed on her chest so she can carry a little piece of her. Then we get another bit of weirdness from Rebecca, because she sprays on Sarah's perfume and she puts on her necklace, which is, you know, I guess mildly creepy given the context of where you know this movie is gonna go. But I feel like a regular roommate situation, it would just be regular roommate shit, like just touching my shit, just because some people just have no boundaries like that. But anyway, after that had happened, Rebecca had brought home a kitten that she found while she was out running. And while Rebecca, damn it, I'm talking about Sarah. Guys, I'm so sorry. Sarah is the one who brought home the kitten, right? Rebecca was the one in the dorm room trying on Sarah's perfume and necklace. So Sarah comes back to the dorm room and she brings this kitten that she found while she was jogging. And yes, it's gonna die. It's gonna die. So there's no real sense of time in this movie. Like I don't know how long everything, I don't know if this is the next, whatever. But so Rebecca she gets tickets to a showing for some artist, because Sarah had mentioned it was her new favorite artist. And Sarah had actually made plans with the guy from the beginning of the movie, Steven, to go out to dinner. So she's like, nah, I have plans, and she sees how disappointed Rebecca is, so she's like, fine, you know, I'll go with you, I'll reschedule under one circumstance, if you let me dress you, because you know she's a fashion girl. And she actually she dresses her in the most basic outfit. It looked like she was already wearing like some type of dress or romper or something. So all she did was put a leather jacket over it, and she gave her earrings. Now Rebecca does not have her ears pierced. So instead of just telling her like, hey, I don't have my ears pierced, she stabs the earrings through her earlobes, which is actually deranged. That one is actually crazy. That one's a bit psycho. So later that night, Tracy, party girl, she wakes up in the middle of the night to go get some water or something, and when she opens her door, she finds Rebecca just sitting there watching the door. And then Rebecca like stands up and gets in her face and then just walks away. So the next day, Tracy tries to tell Sarah like, your roommate is weird, da da da. Sarah's just like, okay, cool. Like she's just unfazed. So Rebecca that day finds Tracy in the shower and plays like this little cat and mouse thing with her, turning the lights on, flickering water on, before knocking her down to the ground of the shower, in the shower stall, and ripping out her belly button ring and saying, stay away from her. So what does Tracy do? Stay away from her. So Sarah is out on her date, and Rebecca starts calling her, I guess because she's worried it's late, and Sarah doesn't answer. So as Sarah's stepping out of the elevator with Steven, Rebecca pops up and is like, where were you? I was calling you over and over again. I was so worried. And she doesn't even let Sarah say anything. She just walks away. Just, you know, whatever. And again, not something that I think is the weirdest thing in the world. Yes, she's your roommate, not her sister, but like, if we are on the road to becoming friends, I could see how some people, not me making excuses for this girl, but I could see how some people could care, like, you know, it's pretty late, maybe it was 1, 2 in the morning, like I just was a little bit worried for you. I wouldn't do that. I would maybe keep it to myself. I didn't really personally care when I lived with roommates. I didn't personally care about their comings and goings, but I could see how this is just like an honest friend thing, like just a friend who cares too much. So then we have this scene where Sarah is hooking up with Steven, and simultaneously Rebecca answered Sarah's phone because she left it at home, and she answers Sarah's phone and Jason is on the line. Jason is the ex. And she ends up having phone sex with this man. And then as soon as she climaxes, presumably, she says, never fucking call me again. Sarah goes out to hang out with her friend Irene, who is a fashion designer herself, or something in that aspect. She's in some sort of fashion world. And Irene offers to let her stay at her place because, you know, she'd have more space here, plus she'd be able to keep the cat because the RA or something saw the cat, so they basically have to get rid of it now. So Sarah goes back and tells Rebecca this, and Rebecca naturally gets upset. And then what does she do? She kills the cat. Did we not see that coming? She killed the cat. That really must have been a bitch to clean up. I'm not gonna, because I can only imagine, based on the physics, how that would have worked out. That would have been a pain in the ass to clean up. I think she might have been better off just using, I don't want to say it, but like, there are some better methods to this. No. When Sarah gets back to the dorm room, Rebecca is crying. She's like, the cat ran off. I took it with me to do laundry and it just ran off. I'm so sorry. And Sarah actually seems pretty annoyed with her over this. A little bit more annoyed than the girl trying on her necklace, not gonna lie. All right, so Sarah's professor invites her to go to Fashion Week, and he does this whole thing about, oh, you know, normally it's a senior, but it doesn't always have to be. I'd like for you to go to Paris Fashion Week with me. And then he kisses her because he's a pervert, and we saw that coming. The man is creepy. So she runs and she tells Rebecca about this, and Rebecca decides to handle it herself. She goes to the office, she seduces, she's like, you know, I need help, she seduces that man, and then records herself screaming at him to get off of her. Now, again, they want us to think she's crazy, but that is legendary behavior. I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. He got what he deserved. He was fired and he was replaced. Nothing crazy about that. But then she starts acting crazy again. She beats herself up, like literally punches herself in the face a bunch of times and slices her stomach just so she can tell just so she can tell Sarah that some man beat her up while she was looking for the cat. Not sure too much on what purpose this served. So now it's Thanksgiving, so clearly we're flying through time fairly quickly in this movie. And Sarah, damn it, Aaron. Sarah does not want to go home for Thanksgiving because her sister died like 2 days before Thanksgiving. So it's very awkward, clearly. So she ends up going home with Rebecca for Thanksgiving. And that is also awkward because I guess Rebecca didn't tell her people that she was coming. And then there's this conversation while Sarah's waiting downstairs for Rebecca so they can head out, where the mom is like, are you taking your meds? Girl, why would you ask her that? That's her roommate. That's not her keeper. Just putting out your daughter's medical business like that. So anyway, they head out to a coffee shop. And this is where Sarah and Rebecca run into this girl from Rebecca's high school. And this is the same girl that is on all the drawings in Rebecca's room. So Rebecca introduces Sarah to the girl and her friends, and they all kind of just awkwardly stare at each other before Sarah is like, you know, let's just go. And so the girl, Maria, Rebecca's previous obsession, stands up and she goes, we were never friends. I don't know why, but that is so funny to me, just for the aspect of the fact that it's so unrealistic. we were never friends. Like, I don't know. When they get back to their dorm after the Thanksgiving trip, Sarah decides to go through Rebecca's stuff so she can find her medication and figure out what it's for. Again, we have another scene where we're supposed to believe that Rebecca is crazy and she's simply engaging in, I don't know. I don't think anything's wrong with the girl. But basically what happens is she's pumping gas, and the gas station attendant comes up to her and tries to hit on her, even like touches her face and stuff. So she pours gasoline all over him and holds up a lighter to threaten him. Again, what is crazy about that? He was in her personal space. Deserved. But anyway, back to Sarah. So Sarah is looking up the medication, and it's called, whatever it's called, but basically when she looks it up on Wikipedia, it says it's an antipsychotic used to treat disorders such as bipolar and schizophrenia. And here is where my biggest gripe with this movie comes in. Horror, thriller, and suspense, an entire genre of movies, love to use mental illness as the backing for their villains. This is why they do this. And not only does it increase the stigma that already surrounds mental illness in the first place, but they don't even have the nerve, they don't even portray it correctly. Because nothing that this girl has done so far, nothing that Rebecca has done so far points to bipolar or schizophrenia. So for them to just throw that in there doesn't actually make zero sense to me. Like the schizophrenia one is especially wild. What about this girl's behavior points to those things? Rebecca's actions do not point to a mental illness at all. Like, it's definitely not one in the DSM. So I don't understand why, like, if you're gonna do it correctly. Make it make sense. But they never do. If anything, I think that Rebecca's actions point more towards BPD, borderline personality disorder, and even then, I think she checked off one box. The girl is just weird. And you can be weird and creepy and even a bad person and not have a mental illness. So why throw that into these movies? So upon finding out this information, Sarah finally decides to move in with Irene. And speaking of Irene, we see Irene in the club looking down on the dance floor at this girl. Who is it? Rebecca. They end up meeting in the bathroom, make out, and then Rebecca's like, let's go back to your place. Rebecca, presumably the next day, because again, no sense of time in this movie, Rebecca asks Sarah to come with her to get a tattoo. And what does she get? She gets the Emily, the same place on her chest. And not only does she get it, when she's showing it to her, she's like, you can think of me as your sister if you want. You can call me Emily if you want. Nah, because that's creepy. Sorry, y'all know I was trying to pick up for my girl this whole movie, but that was beyond creepy. But this goes and makes Sarah move out immediately. Like, she had made the decision before, but now she's actually packing all her stuff, well, most of her stuff, and bringing it over to Irene's house. So while she's trying to get her stuff settled in at Irene's apartment, she finds that she mistakenly packed a sketchbook of Rebecca's. And when she opens it, there's a bunch of pictures of her. It's all like the same drawing, but just drawn over and over again of Sarah. Jason, the ex, comes to California. I don't know where Brown is, but he comes to the college and is like calling her and telling her to meet her at the hotel. And he managed to make his way into the dorm hall and to her exact dorm room. How he knew that, I don't know. How he knew exactly where she was, I don't know. But he does. And he's like knocking on the door, and then he finally gives up and he just slides a note under the door telling Sarah to meet him at his hotel. But Sarah doesn't live there anymore. Rebecca does. So Rebecca picks up the note and she goes over there. She dresses in Sarah's clothes and that ugly ass fedora, sprays her perfume, puts on her necklace that she hid from Sarah when Sarah was trying to move out. She goes over there, and I guess because he was asleep when she showed up, we're supposed to believe that he did not recognize that this was not the same girl on top of him. He doesn't. Anyway, she gets on top of him and she stabs him in the chest twice, and he dies immediately. She must have gone right for the heart somehow, I don't know. Rebecca, the train killer. Sarah gets a text from Irene telling her it's urgent, she needs to come over here immediately. And so Sarah calls Steven to go meet her there because she's like, she's not picking up the phone, I don't know what's going on. And when she gets there, she finds Irene tied up on the bed. So Rebecca comes from behind the door and she's waving a gun and she's like, all I ever wanted was for you to be my friend. Why am I talking? I'm trying to do this. So Rebecca comes out from behind the door and she's waving a gun and she's telling Sarah, you know, all I wanted was to be your friend and you betrayed me. And she goes through all the things that she did for her, and including getting rid of Tracy and getting rid of the professor. And Sarah was like, please forgive me, you know, I'm so sorry. And Rebecca's like, of course I'll forgive you. And we can start fresh, we can start clean. But I have to get rid of Irene because I'm the only one who can be your best friend. So she goes to put a garbage bag over Irene's head. And Sarah tries to stop her, so Rebecca backhands her with the gun. And a fight naturally ensues between the two. And during the fight, Sarah ends up locking Rebecca outside of the bedroom. And then she goes to briefly try and untie Irene. And then I guess Irene was like, no, just go. And so Sarah tries to go out the window. Irene, you don't care about your life? I don't understand that. But like, clearly the girl has no qualms on killing you and you said, no, don't even attack me, just save yourself and go outside the window. Could not be me. You need to save me, please. So Rebecca manages to break down the door and she's about to shoot Irene when Steven comes in, he knocks her down. All this to say, there's a whole lot of fighting, between everybody. Steven gets knocked out and then it's just Sarah and Rebecca fighting. And so basically Rebecca had been choking Sarah at one point. She was literally on the verge of passing out, but she managed to get a box cutter, probably the same one that Rebecca stabbed Jason with, and stabs her in the back with it. Rebecca falls, but of course in typical suspense movie fashion, when Sarah reaches out to check if she's still dead, she grabs her hand because she's not really dead before closing her eyes like 10 seconds later, and then that's it, the movie's over. Well, the movie ends with Rebecca moving into a dorm again, presumably the next year. And her boyfriend Steven is like, you know, you could always come live with me. And she's like, no thanks. I think I'm good on having a roommate for a while. And that's the end of the movie. This movie was an hour and 30 minutes long. The movie was set up in a way so that there was a whole lot of build up to that final 15-minute fight scene where we finally see Rebecca unravel. And it failed miserably because I don't feel like, first of all, we had enough development to show like, oh, Rebecca is unhinged. Okay, Rebecca is crazy and she's slowly losing it. It was just kind of like, oh, these are weird things. Oh, now she's killing people. Honestly, I think the worst sin of this movie is the fact that it's just very typical. And that's what happens when you constantly remake films of the same theme, whether it be a Fatal Affair-esque movie or a single white female movie. Like, you're not remaking the movie, but you essentially are. So what else can we expect from the movie? Anyway, that is all for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Please share your thoughts with me down below. And if you like this video, make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.